Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Inside of today's video, we're going to be taking a good look at Otis, whether he's really strong in the meta, giving you guys my overall thoughts and breaking him down so I can give you guys the best tips whether to max him out or not. So before we jump into it, make sure you're using the creator code. That'd be greatly appreciated. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. Okay, guys, so jumping into the first game then. So we've got a few talking points with this video. Normally, I just kind of free roll with things, don't really have notes when I do these type of videos. But this time around, I've definitely been testing Otis out in Power League, been looking at practices across multiple regions, also been asking pros for their opinions as well. So got a good idea of how Otis is in the meta right now. And for me, Otis, I would say, pretty much from the get-go, still underwhelming for me. As a new brawler, we're probably a little bit accustomed to these new brawlers being really overpowered, being super strong with all their mechanics and whatever else, but for Otis, I feel like he's still incredibly underwhelming. He isn't bad, he's definitely a lot better with his new star power, which again, his new star power, it for me has to be in a term broken in a sense, because it is by far the better star power. There's no other option for Otis whenever I'm using him. This is by far the better star power, so straight away from the get-go, I think if we're looking to buff any type of thing with Otis, it has to be with his star power. Like the fact that you have to use this one every single time, it's just a little bit annoying. It has to be in its base kit. It's just Otis is so bad without the star power. So for me, that has to be the first change if we're looking to change him whatsoever, because let's be honest, he's a new brawler. I feel like Supercell will want to buff him pretty much straight away. So yeah, that's got to be the number one thing for me. So now going to be talking about like his best game modes. As I said, I've watched quite a few scrims, and to be honest, I only seen him being played like a couple of times. That's because he isn't really the best right now. So that's going to be the first game. Let's hop into the next one. All right, guys, so now we're going to be roughly ranking how good he is on every single game mode right now. So from the get-go, the best game mode for him, for me, has to be Brawl. I know a lot of the bad brawlers are somewhat usable in Brawl. It's a really good game mode because you can play multiple brawlers, but for me, it has to be Brawl because of his mechanics, right? The fact that you can like super someone just before you're about to score, and then they can't deal damage to you, that's a really OP mechanic and makes him the reason why this game mode has to be like the strongest one for him. I think gem grab is a good one as well, because if any aggro brawlers are trying to attack you or your gem carrier, you can always just silence them, which is pretty OP. But I don't think he's still too OP in those game modes, but I think those are the best two for him. I'll probably rate him like maybe like a 3 out of 5 in both of those game modes. Like, he's usable, but still better options. And then next up, we have Heist. So Heist, I feel like he's okay in the middle. I've seen a few teams practice him as a mid in like safe zone. He's okay, but still other mids just have a better time against him. His shot mechanics remind me a lot like Lou, how like at long range it's pretty hard to hit all of his shots, and if you're facing a really skilled player, they're probably going to know how to juke the shots, especially at the longest ranges. So again, reminds me of Colt and Lou, because it's kind of high risk, high reward. Like if you're landing those shots, you're going to deal a lot of DPS, right? But for the most part, that's not going to be the case because of how annoying his mechanics are. So that's going to be another game. Let's hop into the next one. Okay, so moving on to the next game then. So as I was talking about with Heist, probably put him at like a 2.5 out of 5, honestly, with Heist, because he doesn't really have that DPS to really do much. But I suppose you could still maybe use him as a mid, and he's pretty good. Like, there's a lot of aggro picks now in Heist. You know, there's types of metas where Heist goes from like control to really aggro. But as a mid, you can also deal with long range brawlers. Okay, not really the best, but if there's like a Daryl, for example, you can still do a decent job at countering him. But overall, I feel like still a lot better options. You know, like Gale, typical tank counter is going to be better in Heist. So next up on the other options then. So what were the other game modes? We have Knockout. So Knockout, I put personally, again, a little bit lackluster, not really the best in 1v1 scenarios, takes a long time to build up his super. So that is the number one thing about me, about brawlers with Knockout. So the meta brawlers are normally brawlers that can build their super up pretty quickly, right? They can make a influence on pretty much every single round because their super gets built up pretty quickly, and Otis has got to be one of the hardest brawlers to charge his super up with, like a whole 12 hits. I know it's only 3 pieces of ammo, but let's face it, on a map like, well, a game mode like Knockout, it's really slow. You're looking to try and get like wall peak shots. You're really trying to stay away from the enemies, not feed them supers. Otis, unless it's literally like a Fang or a Pam or a high health brawler, which again you don't really see too often in Knockout, you're not getting your supers. So for me, knockout, probably like a 2, even like a 1.5 out of 5, if I'm being brutally honest. Like, this brawler is just not really as good as I thought he would be. So again, I can silence the Mortis here, and he can't do... Oh no, I could have... Okay, that is a big fail for me. I gotta just walk that in. I thought for some reason that it made him like see through. I don't know why. That was a pretty funny fail there. But next up we have Bounty. So Bounty, he's okay, and so for me, I feel like he could actually be somewhat playable when it comes down to the grassy maps. So like Canal Grande, we have Layer Cake, where there's a lot of tanks on those maps, which he might be okay on, but still, there's better options. Every single time I think of Otis, or want to play Otis in Power League, every time I feel like I could be choosing a much better option, which is just a bit frustrating for me. And then lastly, I think Hot Zone has potential to be one of his better game modes as well, just because of the maps. You got maps like Split, where you can easily just camp behind a wall with your super, and it's going to be pretty hard for those tanky brawlers to do too much. And same with Dueling. Once you get your super, he can push up to the wall and probably deal a lot of damage and a lot of pressure. So that's going to be another game right there. Let's hop into the next one. Okay, so I'm going on to the next game, and so talking more about his playstyle then. So what I've kind of figured out so far, like, Otis is a lot more confusing than I first thought. I thought it'd be a type of brawler where he can just shred everyone at long distance. He could use your super at long distance and finish off the brawlers, but the playstyle with Otis has to be at close range, right? It has to be at close range. You want him to finish off brawlers when you silence them, and you can only really do that when you're close. If you use your super, I've already spoke about this before, but if you use your super at long range, it's not really going to be the most, you're not going to get the most value out of it unless there's a teammate there ready to finish off the brawler, which for most of the time, that's not going to be the case. So that's why I feel like his super is not as good as everyone really thought it would be. I thought it'd be really OP. It's strong against counters, as I said, but you have other brawlers that can counter tanks and probably have better supers that can just finish them off pretty quickly. You know, brawlers like Gale, brawlers like Tara, brawlers even like Shelly, like her super is probably a lot better against those tanks if you're looking to use Otis as a tank counter. So also a couple other points that are noted as well. You almost want to use his super, as I said, up close, but you're going to be able to shred people up close. You can deal, I believe, like 7.5k damage with 3 pieces of ammo, which is a lot. So make sure you're getting up close and personal with those tanks. You're going to be shredding them pretty quickly. People probably don't think he shreds that much, but with star power number 2, he really does. So that's going to be another win. Let's hop into another game. Alright guys, so moving into the final game then, and giving my final verdict on what I think about Otis. So overall, I would rank him around probably like 30th in the meta. Like, he's pretty decent, but I would say there's a lot better options out there. Honestly, even 30 could be a little bit of an overstatement. We'll have to still test him out. Maybe a week's time, he might be pretty strong once people learn his mechanics, but I still don't feel like that's going to be the case with Otis. You can think of like Janet, for example. I don't think she was going to be completely strong, especially until her second star power came out, and then people, once they got to learn how strong she is, she became really strong. Maybe this could be the case with Otis, but just on first initial thoughts, I don't think he's too strong, especially considering in practices, like, people are just not going Otis whatsoever. So could be some room for thought there. So ways to buff him, already spoke about it briefly, but give me guys, I hope you guys can give me some good suggestions in the comment section, like what star powers you could actually add for Otis. I can't really think of any because there's already one star power that influences his super. Of course, you don't really want another star power like that, so got to be a little bit careful there. So surely with Band-Aid, you know, she's not really going to do anything once her silencer kind of wasted it a little bit, but we're able to score. So yeah, I'm just a little bit confused on what to really do with Otis. You don't want to change his super charge rate. Of course, that super can be really toxic if you charge it really quick. Like 12 hits is a little bit too much for sure. Trying to overthink as well. Someone said like an unload buff, like to make it so he doesn't feel like Lou when he's shooting up close, but again, that's going to make him a little bit too strong up close. So I'd rather just buff the reload speed instead, if you're thinking about it in that way. Was a little bit sick of Otis just being like completely well, and Otis, the new brothers, just being completely OP. So somehow these guys mess it up, but they end up scoring in the end. So that's going to be it for today's video, guys. Let me know what you think of Otis overall, whether I've done like a good evaluation right here. I feel like I've really summed up my points pretty well in this video. Normally I can go off topic and kind of run out of things to say, but I feel like this is free flowed, as I've wrote a lot of notes, done a lot of research, and played a lot. I know I haven't got a lot of trophies on him, but I've played him in Power League, trust me. So yeah, that's going to be it for today's video, guys. Hope you enjoyed this one. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.